Hello everyone and welcome back to another numismatic history video. In today's video we'll be learning about this 50 ruble bill from Russia, so let's get into it. Alright, so to start things off, I thought I'd talk a little bit about this bill. So this bill was issued by the Central Bank of Russia in 2004. Russia to this day still uses the ruble system, and the value of a ruble today is about 1 cent. So this bill is about 50 cents in the US dollar. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the obverse. So the obverse of this bill has the personification of the river Neva. So this is the personification of the river Neva, and we'll talk a little bit about all of these in just a moment, all of the little details on the bill. And there's also the Peter and Paul Fortress back here in the background of this bill. So the Neva River is a river in northwestern Russia, and it's the fourth largest river in Europe in terms of average discharge, and it flows through St. Petersburg, Russia. The Peter and Paul Fortress is the original citadel of St. Petersburg, founded by Peter the Great in 1703, and it was built from 1706 to 1740, so it took a good 34 years to be built completely, and it's a star fortress. Between the first half of the 1700s and the early 1920s, it served as a prison for political criminals, and it has also, to this day, since 1924, been a museum. The fortress contains several buildings clustered around the Peter and Paul Cathedral, which was built between 1712 and 1733, which has a 122.5 meter bell tower and a gilded angel-topped cupola or dome. This fortress also had a role during the Russian Revolution. So during the February Revolution, which was a part of the Russian Revolution just in February of 1917, the fortress was attacked by mutinous soldiers and the prisoners were freed. The February Revolution took place in Russia in 1917 during World War I. The main causes of the events of the revolution took place near Petrograd, which is now St. Petersburg, and at that point was the capital of Russia, where there were mass protests against food rationing due to the war. These revolutionary acts lasted about 8 days, and the forces of the capital's garrison ended up siding with the revolutionaries, which caused Nicholas II to abdicate, which ended the Romanov dynasty. Then, after the Romanov dynasty had ended, the Russian provincial government replaced the Council of Ministers of Russia. The people of Russia ended up not liking the Russian provincial government, and the Russian provincial government was forced to share dual power with the Petrograd Soviet, meaning that at the time Russia had two governments. After the July days, which was a period of unrest in Petrograd where the government killed hundreds of protesters, Alexander Kerensky became the head of the government. He only served for a short time because he was unable to resolve Russia's immediate problems, including food shortages and mass employment, and he also wanted to keep Russia in World War I, which most of the people of Russia didn't want to be in the World War anymore. The failures of the provincial government led to the October Revolution later that year, which was a revolution in Russia led by the Bolshevik Party of Vladimir Lenin, who later became the first and founding head of the government of Soviet Russia. Overall, the February Revolution weakened the country, and the October Revolution was kind of like the final blow to the government, which resulted in Russian Civil War and eventually the formation of the Soviet Union. In October of 1917, the Peter and Paul Fortress fell into Bolshevik hands. The structure also suffered heavy damage during the bombardment of the city during World War II. Since then, it has been restored and is a tourist attraction in the form of a museum. In the years after the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, the Peter and Paul Fortress was portrayed by Bolshevik propaganda as a really bad place, as they described the stories of the prison there. And these stories ended up turning the prison into a symbol of government oppression in the minds of the people. In reality, the conditions of the fortress ended up being far less brutal than people believed, but many of the prisoners there wrote chilling stories that solidified the structure as a horrible place in the public mind. It was also used as a symbol by the Bolshevik Party to turn the people away from the idea of a Tsarist rule again. The St. Petersburg Mint, which is one of the world's largest mints, and it was founded by Peter the Great in 1724, is also on the territory of the Peter and Paul Fortress. Also, every day since 1873, there has been a midday cannon there, where they shoot a cannon at midday, and many of the residents there check their watches by this cannon shot, and this cannon was only silent during times of revolutions and wars. But to this day, you can still hear the cannon at 12 every day. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the reverse now. So the reverse of this bill features the old St. Petersburg Stock Exchange, which is this building here, and a rostral column, which is this right here. So let's talk about some of the details of those. So the old St. Petersburg Stock Exchange is a historic building in St. Petersburg and was the former location of the city's stock exchange. Its design was inspired by the Greek temple of Hera at Paestum, which I thought was pretty interesting. The stock exchange was constructed between 1805 and 1810, and it was built originally to be the stock exchange, but later on served other purposes, including housing the Central Naval Museum from 1939 until 2010. The stock exchange was founded by an order from Peter the Great, and it was inspired by the stock exchange in Amsterdam. Following the Russian Revolution in 1917 and the establishment of a communist economic system, the building stopped functioning as a stock exchange, and in 1939, it was assigned to the house of the growing collection of the Central Naval Museum until 2010. In 2010, it was decided that they were going to move the Naval Museum and repurpose the old St. Petersburg Stock Exchange building. And in December of 2013, the exchange was transferred to the State Hermitage Museum. The exchange building is also framed by two rostral columns, like I stated in the beginning when we looked at the bill. These rostral columns were originally intended to serve as beacons and were topped with a light in the form of a Greek brazier, and they were lit by oil. Now the Greek braziers have been removed, but the tops of the columns were refitted with gas torches that continue to be lit on ceremonial occasions. Anyways, I think that's about all that I have to say about this bill here. If you know anything else about this bill, I'd love to know. I really enjoyed looking at the history of this bill and some of the history of Russia and World War I. If you'd like to learn more, I'm going to be leaving a lot of the websites that I used for research for this video down in the description of this video, not the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I try to make content like this, where I talk about coins and bills in my coin collection, and also I do coin roll hunts. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I try to respond to all the comments that I can, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.